Rob Gronkowski with 6 receptions for 116 yards, 1 touchdown, and the breakout reception you talked about. It was a 53-yard touchdown, which was his 1 touchdown. Also, let me find this. Your running back, Mike Gillespie?
Gillespie.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because I didn't know it.
That's fine.
18 carries and 69.
I'm here to make sure you know it.
69 yards and 1 touchdown. But you know what? Drew Brees, he did do something.
He did. Because he was playing from behind. Anytime you're losing like that, you have to throw the ball to try to come back. So none of his stats are irrelevant.
I mean, okay.
But you can call him out, though. He is Drew Brees.
I'm going to just say 356 yards passing. I mean, but that is, like you said, that is Drew Brees. That is something he does. He is one of, like, the best kind of slingers as far as, I won't say so much accuracy all the time, but definitely can throw the ball. He's going to get his yards if nothing else happens for him. He did pull out 2 touchdowns, but this was a Patriots victory, and I unfortunately had to agree with you that they were going to win, and we were both right about this. And I do agree with you. Like, the game 1, the week 1 for them when they lost to the Chiefs, I truly felt like this was just them kind of still in their Super Bowl high, and they still played a great enough team to put them in check for still being in their Super Bowl high with the banner dropping. So I did expect for them to come out and
then look at the length of time they had to prepare. They played the opening game of the season, which was like on a Thursday night. So they had a couple of extra days to prepare for. I started to say Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, and the Saints. One thing that stood out to me in this game. Well, we all know that now since Tony Romo is officially retired from the NFL, he has now joined the CBS crew with Jim Nantz commentating football games. And it was a play down there near the red zone. I think it was for the Saints. Okay. And he pretty much called the play before it happened.
Really?
Like, yeah. So it's like, I guess that's his mindset as a quarterback. Like, oh, you got so-and-so open. Like, he, called it before it happened. Wow. And Jim Nantz kind of picked at him a little bit, saying, you still kind of got that game feel quarterback type mentality commentator. And I don't know if you had ever had a chance to hear him commentate yet, but he's trying to grow to the role. He's still got to grow on me as a commentator. His voice doesn't have one of those commentators like a Troy Aikman, like when you hear Troy Aikman talking, or any other former player commentators like Chris Collinsworth or somebody like that. They have distinguished voices. Okay. Tony Romo, I'm just not used to hearing his voice. It doesn't sound right when I hear it.
I got you. Yeah, I didn't have a chance to hear Tony Romo. I didn't hear much feedback on it, but I heard what I did hear was kind of pretty positive feedback.
Now, a lot of people are saying he's doing good.
And I like the fact that, like you said, he kind of called the play, and I felt like that's kind of fun to hear because that shows that he's still like the quarterback mind, so he's still fresh. Like, he wants to do it. Like, if it was him, he's calling the play. So I think from a sports analyst kind of perspective, that might be good for that CBS kind of commentary, just to hear him do it.
But this was well before the ball was snapped. Like, he saw it like immediately when they lined up. Like, he called it immediately. He called it out of excitement. It wasn't like one of those commentary calls like, oh, they're going to go with so-and-so over here in the corner to the left, touchdown. No, he said it like with excitement, like, oh, I know what they're doing. Like, oh. So it was like one of those things. So I guess that's just the rookie commentator in that. But all that matters, we're back in the win column. All is right with the world.
Can I say one thing before we go to the next
We can continue to stay here if you want to. I can talk about the Patriots.
I just wanted to say one thing. I just wanted to be known. As of week 2, the New England Patriots and the LA Rams are both tied at 1-1.
They are.
That's all. I might not get to say this too many more times.
You definitely won't. So,
but as of right now, we are both 2-1.
You might want to write this date down.
Write it down.
Timestamp for the time you said that, because it's going to be.
Whatever.
I think the rough weeks are still coming.
It's still coming. I don't know, man. Now next week it might be a kind of a cakewalk, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
That's cool. You want to get the next game for?
Yeah, I'm going to get into the next game, which both of us agreed on. The Raiders blowing out the Jets 45-20. Derek Carr having a great game, 23 of 28, which is another good quarterback percentage.
Racked up for me again. Definitely. Fantasy points.
Oh yeah, 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hold on. Did I write this right? All 3 of them went to Michael Crabtree?
Yep, that's
right?
Yeah, all 3 touchdowns.
Look at that. And I wrote it down, and I couldn't believe it.
Yep.
But yeah, this makes the Raiders 2-0. And one thing I wanted to get on was Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Now, his stats, he had 12 carries, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. But he also, at the end of the game, just felt like he was in the middle of the dance floor and did not care anymore and just went ballistic. And it was, to me, it was funny. And I think that was one of the moments, I guess, as you say, the thing that makes you laugh, makes you cry. Because, I mean, the Jets were definitely not happy about this. But for him, I mean, like you say, if you're going to be upset, do something about it. And the Jets obviously couldn't do anything about it.
I feel like when you win, you reserve your right. I mean, you always want to have class in everything you do. But I feel like why win and not be
happy about it?
You know, you want to be that's all about boosting your confidence. So, like, whatever it takes at this point.
That's true.
So, I mean, I thought that was funny, too, that he did that. Oakland is definitely going to be a solid contender this year in the AFC.
Definitely. Jalen Richard, their running back, also had a pretty decent game. 6 carries, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. And now Josh McCown of the Jets, 17-25, 166 yards with 2 touchdowns.
He's looking pretty decent, but it's
yeah, they definitely don't have all the components.
They don't. The Jets are they're just gonna be one of those teams that a lot of teams are gonna get some easy victories on. I don't think they won't win any games, but I don't really see them really being contenders in the AFC East or in the AFC in general.
In anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll get into this next one. The Cowboys lost to the Broncos.
Right here.
And both of us did go with the Cowboys, unfortunately. But the Broncos just decided to beat up on the Dallas Cowboys 42-17.
42 to what now?
17.
Really?
42-17.
And I heard that Ezekiel Elliott really didn't have a good game. I think he was non-existent. Did you have it over there?
I don't have any.
But I think it was because he didn't do much. That's probably why he didn't have it over there.
Exactly.
I heard he had like 8 carries for like 8 or maybe 9 yards. He was really non-efficient. It's probably been one of his worst program games that he's had since he's been in the league. So Denver does have a really good defense to credit what Dallas had to go up against. But this week I just didn't really hear, a lot from the Dallas team, So pretty much this is all I heard this week.
Oh, no.
If we don't know what that sound is, that's cricket. That's all I heard. No Dallas fans really defended their team this week. I mean, last week y'all won the Super Bowl by beating the Giants. And now this week it's just very quiet in Jerry's world.
Listen, let me say this. Now, I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan, but to the Dallas Cowboys fans, y'all really are the most arrogant and boisterous fans in the NFL. And I understand you definitely believe in your team, but you can't, once you get a win or you start to get a good record, you can't just shoot down the rest of the NFL league like y'all have everything in the bag.
Last week when the Patriots lost, I took it. I was like, Kansas City was better than us. I praised the team that beat us. A lot of the Cowboy fans, I mean, they do have a really strong fan base. I would say the Cowboys, the Steelers, even I still give it to the 49ers, like from the olden days, that their fans are really loyal. And a lot of times they raise their kids to be fans of those teams as well. So they stick by them through thick and thin.
Right.
But I just really love to pick at the Cowboys when they lose. It's just kind of like Stephen A. says, they're an accident waiting to happen.
Oh my goodness!
So they played Denver. It just wasn't an overall good game for him. Jason Witten had a good game. He was about the only one who really showed up to play.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for the Broncos, I mean, Trevor Siemian had a good game, 22 for 32, 231 yards, with a career high 4 touchdowns, with 1 interception. C.J. Anderson had a good game. Their running back, 25 carries for 118 yards with 1 touchdown. So, I mean, the Broncos have been this surprise team for me. I really didn't see much of their offense playing a factor into anything. I must admit, I did forget how strong the Broncos defense really is. I forgot about Von Miller. I guess I've been too used to seeing him in Old Spice commercials to realize that he is a really good defensive player. So, I mean, the Broncos, shout outs to them. They're actually really doing good. I don't know how long this is going to last, but they are looking like a pretty dominant team.
Right now, the AFC West is a division to look at right now. You got 3 teams over there, 2-0. You got Oakland, you got Denver, and Kansas City. That is going to be probably one of the toughest divisions to try to win. So even given the fact that Kansas City is looking really good, you also have Oakland looking good. You also have Denver looking good too. So when all those teams start to play each other, you're really going to get a really good idea of who's possibly going to come out of that division. You could possibly have 2 to possibly 3 teams make the playoffs from that division. And I also at work today, I was talking with a customer, and he was a big Denver Broncos fan, and he was saying, we were talking about how Trevor Siemian is playing, how well he's doing. And he was like, he doesn't know if it's Trevor Siemian playing really well, or is it more of Denver's offensive line that's making Trevor Siemian look as good? Because you think about it, C.J. Anderson running the ball, and then Trevor Siemian has really been doing some good stuff because he's had the protection he's needed to.
You got a point.
To do the thing. So I don't know if it's more of him or if it's more of Denver's line that's really supporting him, giving him the time to make those throws and those good plays.
That's a good point. That's a really good point to make, man. And that might make sense because, like you said, for C.J. Anderson to get so many yards, he has to get through that line.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And a lot of times we lose sight of the offensive line. Those guys are in the trenches working really hard to make some of our top players look as good as they look. So.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we were both wrong. We both went with Dallas. They lost. Hopefully, their fans will come out to woodwork this week, and maybe we can hear from y'all again sometime.
Oh, I'm sure.
Maybe when they win again, that's when you'll start to hear from them again.
No, we'll hear from them possibly starting Thursday to set up for this next game.
Mm-hmm.
So, one more game. Well, no, we got 2 more games left. The next one I'm going to get into is the Falcons versus the Packers, which I called it. My man D Moody went with the Packers. I did go for the Falcons, and they pulled it out 34-23. How do you feel about this one?
I mean, they were pounding. This game was much closer than. I mean, this game was far out of reach than what the actual final score indicated.
Right.
Atlanta's looking really good, and a lot of people think when they think of the Falcons, Julio Jones. They have a solid team put all together. They have so many ways they can beat you through the air, running the ball. They have a lot of playmakers on that team. And Green Bay's got some defensive issues, but sometimes I think Aaron Rodgers can cancel out some of those, defensive deficiencies that they have because of his talent. But he just didn't have it this week. I know Jordy Nelson went down. They did have a lot of injuries in that game. I think Randall Cobb had to leave that game with an injury. Devontae Adams put up some really good numbers. But yeah, it just seems like Atlanta over the last couple of times they've played the Packers, they've had Green Bay's number. They beat them this regular season. They beat them in the NFC Championship game. They beat them in the regular season last year. So they've won 3 straight versus Green Bay. And I think this could very well be another match that we may see in the playoffs again between these 2 teams. And all those games were in Atlanta. So Atlanta is seeming to be playing really well right now. They opened up their new stadium at home, to get that first win of the season. But, I thought Aaron Rodgers and the Packers would get it done, but they didn't. Yeah,
but he had a good game. Aaron Rodgers, 343 yards and 33 completions, 2 touchdowns, but 1 interception. And like I said, this game was pretty much all Falcons. Matt Ryan having a good game, 252 yards off of 19, completions out of 28 with 1 touchdown. Devontae Freeman had 19 carries for 84 yards, 2 touchdowns. Julio Jones had 5 receptions for 180 yards. So, I mean, that was just, like I said, all-around Falcons work right there.
Yeah, Falcons just pretty much, they they were hyped for that game and they won that game. One cool note I want to throw out there for those who are into like statistics and stuff like that. Did you know that Aaron Rodgers has the best touchdown to interception ratio